Welcome to General Physics 1 Lab offered online. My name is George Manicherro and I will be your course instructor. When the course becomes available to you, log on to https://fsw.instructure.com and that will take you to the Canvas dashboard. Canvas dashboard will look like this. Click on the name of your course and that takes you to the home page of the course. Read the welcome message, and of course the introduction video is what you're watching now. And very important, watch the video on graphing on Excel, video on making a good Word document. There are two Excel videos. One is using the old version and you have a 2016 version. This is probably what most of you want to watch because you will be using Office 365 2016 version that you can download free. I will show it to you in a minute. The next item is the syllabus. Access that and read the syllabus completely, and the schedule for the labs are given in the syllabus page. Make sure that you complete these work before the deadline. I know I have seen this happen before when a lab and an assignment and a test are due the same date. That is, those who do lecture and lab together. If you leave it for the last moment, you will find it extremely difficult. So complete these works before the deadline to make sure that you have enough time to complete them. And of course, in item 5, you can download Office 365, and that is very important for this course. Once you have done all this, I want you to go to the discussion board and make a posting confirming that you have read the syllabus and watched the introduction video. Once you have done this, it is time to access the class schedule, item number 7. And of course, in here you have the dates for each lab given. Lab 1. There are 2 items for each lab. The lab document, download that. For the first 5 labs of Physics 1 lab, you don't need to make a separate lab report. You need only complete the questions, answer these questions, and make sure that whenever necessary, you need to give all the steps. For these, there are no needs for steps. Complete all these questions, but questions like this, you need to write complete steps. It is not enough to have the answers. I need to see the complete steps for all these kind of questions. Make sure that you have all the complete steps in answering each question. Now, graphing is an important skill, and I will be emphasizing the method of graphing every time. Now, in here, you need to practice to write a given equation in the y equal to mx form. Now, how would you do that? Well, you can see here y equal to 10t plus 12 is in the y equal to mx plus b form, where m stands for what? the slope of the graph. That means if you draw a graph of y on the vertical axis and t on the horizontal axis, the slope of that graph will be 10. Now, in physics, the slope of a graph has no meaning if you don't write it with the correct unit. Now, what is the unit of the slope? Since y is on the vertical axis and t is on the horizontal axis, the unit of the slope will be unit of y divided by unit of t. So if y is in meters and t is in seconds, that means the slope has the unit meter per second. So when you record a slope value, it must have the unit, otherwise you get no credit. So I have asked you to write equations in the y equal to mx plus b form and how the graph will look like. For example, what is the shape of this graph? When I ask for a shape, well, you can say it's a straight line, isn't it? All right. Now, here's another equation. You have f equal to 1 over 2l square root t over m, where t is a variable and f is a variable. Now, how do you write this in the form y equal to mx plus b? Now, there are several ways to do that. Maybe you can write it by first squaring the equation if you do not like the square root sign. If you square it, it becomes f squared equal to 1 over 4l squared t over m. Now, you need to identify the independent variable and the dependent variable. The independent variable is the one we change, and the dependent variable is the one that follows the change you made. In this case, when t is changed, f changes. So f is the dependent variable, and that is the y-axis. So if f squared equal to 1 over 4l squared t over m, then if you draw a graph of f squared on the vertical axis, not f squared on the vertical axis and t on the horizontal axis, what will be the slope? It will be 1 over 4l squared m, and m will stay in the denominator here. That will be the slope. And by measuring the slope of your graph, you can calculate the, say, unknown m if L is given. All right. Now, this is an important skill I want you to practice. Now, here I have another equation, x equal to 1/2 at squared. And I have asked you to write the equation in the form y equal to mx plus b. Now, how will that look like? Now, t is the variable, x is the dependent variable. You got the independent variable, the dependent variable. Now, tell me, is t the independent variable or t squared the independent variable? It is actually t squared. So your graph must be x on the vertical axis and t squared on the horizontal axis. And what will be the slope, the unit of the slope? The unit of the slope will be meter per second squared. So when you want to do a graph, I have given you the x values and the t values. You need to make another column in here and tabulate the t squared values and make a graph of x against t squared, measure its slope like I have illustrated in the graphing video, to make sure that whenever you do a graph, I want to see how you measure the slope. You've got to show me how the slope is measured and record it with the correct unit. And use the slope of the graph to find the value of A. All right, so this is how most of the labs are done. Once you have completed all the answers and drawn all the diagrams, it is time to upload it. Now, before that, let me also mention one other thing. I have asked you in a couple of places, sketch a graph. Now, for example here, what is the shape of the graph of y equal to 10t plus 12? Now, sketch a graph. There is a difference between sketching a graph and drawing a graph. Now, drawing a graph, I have shown you how to use Excel to do a graph. Now, in this case, I have not asked you to do that. What all you need to do is use the drawing menu and use that to sketch, say, vertical axis, horizontal axis, and then show me how the graph will look like. That is a sketch, not a graph drawn using data values. So don't confuse between drawing a graph and sketching. Each lab comes with a data video lab, and you need to watch it in order to get information in how the graph or the lab is to be done. So please watch this video, not necessarily once, but at least twice, to understand all the concepts. And if you have questions, let me know. I'll answer them for you. Enjoy the semester, and I wish you all the best.